Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Scott Show. This is Scott here. We are rocking it, talking a little football today. However, it's not the football that you're used to. It's not your mama's football. We are actually talking about the not the XFL, the CFL. Almost what was called the XFL because that was the Vince McMahon thing. He almost bought the Canadian Football League, but they said no. And it is just going into its 64th season of modern Canadian professional football. It's the 60th season of the league, but it's the 105th Grey Cup. So, for 4 years, the CFL wasn't the CFL. I don't know all the particulars on that, but I do know the 2017 season is winding down. Playoffs start in November 12th. Playoffs start, and of course the 105th Grey Cup being played in Ottawa on the 26th of November. So that's really super exciting. They actually start their regular season in June, which I thought was really interesting. Lots of interesting stuff going on in the CFL. I want to give you the team names since they're kind of cool. And I do have a whole bunch of different things up on my screen, so give me a second. Here we go. All right. We have the British Columbia Lions. We have the Calgary Stampeders, the Edmonton Eskimos, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the Montreal Alouettes, the Ottawa Red Blacks, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the Toronto Argonauts, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now, I have talked about the Toronto team before, as they were owned by John Candy, famous comedian and actor. He owned the Toronto Argonauts team for a while there. So I don't know any of the big owners right now, but that's where we're at. And we do have some great standings already. Winnipeg is winning, or Winnipeg is in second place. Calgary is winning. Calgary is 11-1-1 on the season. They're tie at Ottawa. Then you have Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Saskatchewan. And those are the top 4 teams in the West. There are only 9 teams. So Saskatchewan can get in to the playoffs in what's called the crossover, which means they would take over from the East Division. The East Division is not looking too good, folks. Not looking too good at all. In fact, Toronto, the Argonauts, have a losing record going into week 14. So they are 6-7-0 on the season, and Calgary's 11-1. So, folks, this is what it is. Ottawa has played 14 games, or the most out of all the teams, because with 9 teams you obviously have that little bit of leeway, and they are 5-8-1. They are second place in the East Division, but it does look like that crossover might happen to where Saskatchewan will make the playoffs and face off against. Actually, they'll play Calgary, if I'm correct on how that whole thing works. Actually, it would be they would play the East second. And let's go back to that. They would play the East second, which would be Ottawa right now in the playoffs. So there you go, folks. That's a little bit of the division finals. The division semifinals, actually, they happen with the West 4 or the Eastern 3 against 2, and then the West plays each other, and then that's where you get that crossover. So you might actually have both West teams play in the finals. Yikes. Looks like it's going to be... wow. Okay, that just messed up, folks. But I did want to let you guys know that anyway, give you guys that little bit of information, and hit you up here about a little bit of the CFL season. Top performers of the week. Mr. Green... Jay Green, he is a great player, and he has got many different top performer of the week things. He does play for the Toronto Argonauts in the Canadian Football League. Number 19. He's a slot back. He also played for the New York Jets in the NFL and played at South Florida. Played college ball there. So, folks, this is the CFL. Really great stuff going on here up in Canada. They do play in 110 yard. So the 55-yard line is in play. They don't play in 100 yards. So they play a little longer than we do as far as how long the thing is. Now, the league in May 7th launched its Bring It In campaign designed to diversify its fan base and attract more women and younger fans. They also brought in a whole bunch of shirts that said "Diversity is Strength," and that was a response to the riots in Charlottesville, Virginia, on August 13th. The backs of the shirts have last names of dozens of former and present CFL players with varying ethnic backgrounds. Of course, you guys know that Canada does have their does have the two language thing too happening there. So, on all these different shirts that they brought out, they had to be in both English and French. So, there you go. All the teams will be playing 18 regular season games, playing off against two opponents 3 times in their division and all the other teams twice. And the 4th team in one division may qualify ahead of the 3rd team in the other division, called the crossover, as I said, if they earn more points in the season. That looks like it's going to happen, and it looks like we've got Saskatchewan that is going to make it through. It's going to be interesting, folks, and it's going to be really fun to see what happens in the last few games of the CFL. I'm excited. You know, I normally go for... I like Hamilton. I've always liked the Tiger Cats. I've known about the CFL for a while. Calgary is, like I said, 11-1. They're the only team that clinched a playoff berth. I was asked by one of our fans, one of our Scott Show fans, to cover the CFL, talk about it a little bit. I do not know so much about the CFL that I can talk out for hours about it, but hell, I'll talk a few minutes, and then we'll go for the gold, right? Because that's what we do here in the Scott Show. We talk about things that others just don't. So I wanted to bring that out to you guys. This is what it is. It is the CFL, not the XFL. I did watch the thing on the XFL with McMahon, and they talked about how he was going to buy. They wanted him to buy a CFL team. He said no. I'm going to buy a whole league, and the league said no. So that's what happened, and it would have been Americanized, and The Rock would have been known as Rough Rider Rock or something. I don't know. It would have been trippy. So, folks, that has been our little bit of the CFL. We do cover sports here from all parts of the world, and that's what I want to do. I want to get more into all the different world stuff and talk about all the different sports that we can to get it out there and to make sure people are checking it out. So check it out, folks. And we got some games coming up this weekend. So, for me, for Scott and the Scott Show, and for everyone else who helps out and gives a lot of love to the Scott Show in every way that they possibly can, I thank you very much for listening. And you guys have a great day.